Let me ask you something. Maybe you'll cover this. Was your chain attacked?
Yes.
It was. Okay. Well,
Yeah,
tell us more about it.
Sure. That's the idea. Telling from experience. So, how are you? How are you today? Great. Cool. Cool. Nice to hear it. Are you exhausted or not still? Okay, you're going to see all my keynote and you're going to see that you're going to be exhausted after this. There is too much information. So yeah, if I'm speaking too fast, raise 4 fingers. 4 fingers. Not less, not more. So let's go ahead. So I'm Martin. Some of you may know me from the previous year, and I'm one of the co-founders of Bitcoin Goats. I have 2 companies. And the most important, I enjoy playing guitar. I love playing guitar. So yeah. What about Bitcoin Goat? Well, Bitcoin Goat is one more decentralized version of Bitcoin. We want to call it that way. Because we share almost the same technology, we have improved the mining. We say that we have improved it, maybe we have not. And we have improved also the difficulty adjustment algorithm. So we don't have problems with too fast or too slow blocks. And something really cool, in my opinion, is that we have all our team on 6 different continents. So let's speak about the vulnerabilities and attacks that you can do on the blockchain. I'm going to present you a few of them. Eclipse attack, breaking the cryptography, dropping transaction, and the most important 51% attack. So I'm starting with Eclipse attack. That means that we can have one device. For example, if I want to send a transaction from my phone, which is the green phone on the bottom right, I'm going to want to beam this transaction to the network. But what happens if I'm surrounded only with malicious devices around me and they share wrong information to me? Well, I'm getting an Eclipse attack. I'm not being able to send this transaction, and also I don't have the latest state on the blockchain, which is not cool. But it is also really hard to be done in real conditions. What about breaking the cryptography? Have you heard about quantum computing? How many of you have heard about quantum computing? Cool. How many of you think that this is really dangerous for all the cryptography? Okay, I'm going to raise 2 hands. So, yeah. As of this moment, Bitcoin network, also Bitcoin Gold network, Bitcoin.com network. Hey, guys. We use SHA-256 and also ECDMA, which are considered to be strong. This is the way that the cryptography is done. But if we have quantum computing, that means that these algorithms can be kind of easily get broken. So as of this moment, if I want to brute force a private key, brute force is like playing the lottery. You need to guess which are the right numbers, make all the calculations and stuff. I need to do 2.15 by 10 on power to 38 just to guess one of like a single address for a single person on this planet, which is not easy. But if I have a quantum computer, that's going to be something like 2, 3, 5, or 2 weeks as a time. So yeah, it's not going to be that hard. And how to fix this? You just can change the algorithm of the cryptography. In Bitcoin Gold, we're already researching this. So the next thing is dropping transactions. If I'm in a network that is not mine and which is a malicious network, again, similar to the Eclipse attack, I can send a transaction outside the network and this transaction can get dropped. That means that I can send this transaction, but the network is not going to accept it. The people that are surrounding me are going to drop this transaction from the network, which is not cool as well. And now we're going to the 51% attack. How many of you have heard about 51% attacks? Cool. So, if you want to make a 51% attack, the first thing that you need to have is hashing power. You need to have more than 51% or more percent of the hashing power in order to execute this attack. Then you need to create a transaction that you're going to double spend. You may know that the transactions, when you're creating a transaction, you need to, like, I'm receiving one transaction on my address, I'm using this input to create a second transaction, then I'm using this input to create a third transaction, and so on and so on. this is a network of transaction on my wallet. At some point, I am creating from one transaction, I'm splitting it to two different transactions. The first transaction is being sent to the public network, which is like the original network, which is available. And the second transaction, I'm sending to a private chain, which is a network that I have created with my own nodes, which is having the same code, like mostly the same code as the original network. As soon as I do this, I need to start mining. You know, we're having confirmations. One confirmation means one block after your transaction got into the blockchain. Two confirmations means 2 blocks after your transaction was added to the blockchain. So I'm having 2 different chains as of this moment. I'm going to have the original chain, the public chain, which is the real chain, and then I'm going to have my malicious chain, in case if I'm making the attack. And from my malicious chain, I start mining. You can see all the blocks go, but at some point, as I have more hashing rate than the original chain, I'm going to have a longer chain. And that means that the longer chain is going to be the one that is going to be considered as the true chain. Okay? So, when I connect my malicious network to the original network, something bad is going to happen. I'm going to overwrite the whole network, and the transaction which was my transaction on the original network is going to be discarded. There's going to happen something called reorganization, and that means that all the mined blocks on the original chain are going to be discarded. And I'm going to override them with my private chain, which is a malicious one. Okay, how many of you have understood this? Okay, seems fine. It's not easy. So, yeah, here is how we are overriding the public chain with our malicious chain. So, how we fix this? What's this? Kuch. Yeah, it's a duck. In Bulgarian, kuch. Okay, it's not classic Bulgarian, it is Burgas Bulgarian, but yeah, kuch. So, yeah, do we agree that this is a duck? Who thinks that this is a duck? Okay, we have some different opinions. Cool. Now, who is good at math? Find the answer of this equation. Okay, 132. Other opinions? It's not 6. Okay, why I'm showing this? When I have presented you a simple image, all of the people in this room were able to say, yes, this is a duck. Then if we have an equation, which is like this, we need to calculate it. And we may have a few different answers, because it's something really hard, something harder to be calculated. So the answer is 132. How many of you got the right answer? Okay. So this is all about consensus, or as we call it in our society, democracy. Everyone can express their opinion. And also everyone knows that this is the right answer, like when they calculate it with the right machine. But imagine when you're in a situation where all the people in this room are conspiring against you. That means that you may be right, but all the people are saying, no, you're not right. So this is the same as the 51% attack. You have a single entity that is ordering to a group of people to override the right answer. And actually, this is one of the reasons why in our society we have something called notarization. And we have notary entities which are selected by the government. And these notary entities needs, and the thing that they do is to notarize that documents and statements are valid. If I'm selling my car, I'm going to a notary, and the notary is signing all the documents and validating them. So how we can fix the 51% attack. Well, the thing that we're going to do with Bitcoin Gold is to make a block notarization. That means that we're going to notarize all our blocks. How the notarization happens? It is easy. As soon as some of the blocks have been mined, we're using the hash of the block and we are signing it with the private key. That means that me, as a peer in the network, I'm making a special transaction, I'm signing the block hash and beaming it to a network. If I beam it to our network, it is not going to protect the chain against this, because in case of a Sibyl attack that I can explain you at some other time, my vote is not going to be enough on this network. But the thing that we're going to do with Bitcoin Gold is actually to have all of these notarizations, all of these special transactions to be beamed to other networks. That means that if someone attacks Bitcoin Gold with 51% attack, they also going to need to attack the other chains that we're using for notarization in order to be able to make this attack successful. So in case of 51% attack, you know the previous situation what was. We're having the longer chain overriding the real chain. In this case, we're going to have a chain which is shorter but notarized. And that means that when the attacker connects both of the chains, in case of reorganization, the chain which is longer but malicious and not notarized is going to fall. And the one that is going to have the priority and be considered as the real chain is the one that is notarized. Thank you. Do we have time for questions?
Amazing. Yes, we have time. You were the fastest speaker so far. I like it.
Yeah, that's why I said if I'm too fast, raise 4 fingers.
No, I like it. So let's have a couple of questions. Any questions from the Bitcoin Cash guys? Or from the Bitcoin maximalists? We have a question over here, yes.
Hi.
Okay, just a second. We have...
Okay, so we have a question over here.
Okay, so on the notary, who does the notarization? And if you have a notary, then why do you even need the miners? So basically, because it sounds to me like at this point you're running some sort of a proof of stake where the notaries can overwrite anything else. So you probably have an answer, a solution to that, but it seems like these notaries are selected by your organization, or like who selects them? Who are they? How do you reach consensus within the notaries?
Notary can be everyone that is able to sign a transaction and to beam it to the other network. That means that if you are a peer of Bitcoin Gold network, you can use our wallet, our future wallet, and just enable notarizing the chain to a few different chains. You're connecting your wallet from the different chains, and they're going to be like every single transaction that you beam to the other networks is going to be a transaction which has some fee. And you're going to pay for all of these fees. And that is going to be the price of being the one notarizing the chain.
But what happens if 2 people notarize the chain?
Excuse me?
What happens if both chains get notarized?
Then we have a weighting algorithm which is selecting which chain has more notarizations. And also, if you want to notarize many people to notarize the real chain as it's supposed to happen, it is going to be the real chain. But we are also going, if, for example, an attacker wants to attack and to notarize all of this transaction on another chain, we think that the attacker is not going to be able also to cover all the fees for doing all of these notarizations. Because it is not like you're going to have to pay maybe about $2 or $3 for one authorization. And when we have all of these exchanges, peers, and people who have a lot of money in Bitcoin Gold, that means that it's going to be hard to notarize the Unreal chain. And also, we're going to have a red mark algorithm, which is seeing if we're having 2 chains, 2 Bitcoin Gold chains, which are notarized at the same time. And if we see this, it's going to be a pure marker saying to the exchanges, guys, maybe there is a problem. Maybe someone is making 51% attack right now for his transactions. And then we're just evading the case when some people are losing money.
But it sounds like it's still possible, though, for somebody to spend the money if there is some benefit. Maybe they want to short your coin, or maybe they want to spend the money because they're going to get them back. and they could spend the necessary transaction fees and do a Sybil attack through the notaries.
As of this moment, we're making Python algorithms which are calculating the possibility of 51% attack happening, and we're going to have a list of all the cases using our algorithm and making it possible to happen. And that means that we're going to cover more than, as of this moment, we have 97% success in evading a 51% attack. And we have 3% more that we need to work to get covered. And at the end, when we're having all the exchanges, being aware that there is maybe an attack happening, seeing maybe 2 or more blocks have been notarized from a chain which is not publicly available, this is a pure mark that something is going on. And we're going to be able to notify them, as we're doing right now.
So we had a question over here that there's a miner in the room who wanted to ask a question.
Hi.
Hey.
I am a Bitcoin developer, the real Bitcoin, and I have a question. Do you still have this mining fee on Bitcoin Gold? And I think that this is the wrong way to make the mining secure, and I would like to know your opinion on this.
Which mining fee?
The
There is
0.5%.
Oh, this one, yeah. Yeah, there has been a big misunderstanding provided by the guys from Bitcoin.com. Hey. That was made by one of their journalists in the beginning, saying that Bitcoin Gold as a cryptocurrency has a fee. But it is not real. Like, this was not the right way to say it. Actually, it was a software that I have created, and I have included a fee, which was an open source, so everyone who understands could have removed it and stuff. And it was a pure my mistake that I have not written in the README with large red letters, guys, there is a fee on this one, remove it if you want.
But, so
Bitcoin
it
Gold
was a fee,
never had
but
a
it
fee.
was not on the pool. It was on the protocol, the fee.
Yeah, it was on a third-party software.
Third-party software, not the protocol of Bitcoin Gold.
Yeah, Bitcoin Gold protocol never had a fee. It has been as close as possible to the original Bitcoin.
So the open source wallet had a default fee parameter, and anybody could remove it.
It is not the wallet, it is the mining pool software.
The mining pool,
Which was
the
the
pool
only
management
one
software.
at the moment that was made working.
Uh-huh. Okay.
So it was developed absolutely separately from Bitcoin Gold. It was a separate software which only the people who are running mining pools can install. And then, as it is open source, they have the ability to remove the fee or to change it or to do whatever they want.
Okay,
So
so
this-
it was
this highlights the
a
importance of-
developer fee, let's say, not a mining fee,
Yeah.
like other chains.
Yeah, there was, like Bitcoin Gold, we have been always trying to make it to be a chain which is valuable and to have it as a backup of Bitcoin. Because at some point, Jihan from China get more than 50% of the mining hash rate that is supplied in the world. And at this point of time, we could have easily said that Bitcoin chain was 51%able. It was possible to happen. And
But,
that is why we have started Bitcoin Gold with
The
the idea to
reality
make it
is
more
that,
decentralized.
they probably had the 51% or more of the hashing power, but if they were doing an attack on Bitcoin chain, they were losing the whole value of the attack itself. So it doesn't make sense for a miner and for an industry to attack their own product.
Well, sure, but also it didn't make sense, at least for me, for attacking which is the real Bitcoin. Because it actually backfired on the whole market at this point of time. So yeah, that's why we have started Bitcoin Gold, because we wanted to make a more decentralized version to be as a backup of the original Bitcoin. And then to be able to experiment and to provide improvements which on the Bitcoin chain are going to take a year, for example, to be approved. Because you, as a developer, you know that submitting a pull request or making an implementation proposal are going to need like 3 months at least of discussions if this is going to be useful or not.
Yeah, it's true, but there is a reason for that.
Yeah, I know. You're making the financial system of the future world. But yeah.
And there's an important point here that as a developer, you have to really you know, put comments in your codes, or you might get bad PR, or people might think you're trying to charge a fee and
Yeah.
a fee, and this is
That's why I'm saying that it was a pure
It
my
sounds very
mistake, not
unfortunate,
writing with large red letters.
Did you say it was a third-party software?
Yeah, it is a third-party software. Yeah, it was my mistake because me, as a third party of Bitcoin Gold, I have created it. Yeah.
and hence the conclusion, because he wears two hats.
Sorry, one question relating to quantum computing. Why do you say could be a threat? For example, I don't believe it could be a threat to Bitcoin, quantum computing. Could be a threat to the first address of Satoshi Nakamoto, but not now.
There is something called rainbow tables, and which they're used for matching passwords, like passwords and their hashes. If we have quantum computing which is operating and just brute forcing all of the different addresses and private keys and generating them one by one, at some point we're going to have large rainbow tables. And if you want, for example, to know which is the private key for a certain address, you're going to just pay some fee, and then you're going to include this address, and if this address is being, like its private key is being found somewhere, they're going to send it to you.
But now that we have double cryptography on private keys, is it possible? I mean, are you 100% sure that this is the story?
Yeah, it can happen on all the chains that you're using this algorithm. Because we have limited number of options that are from private keys and public keys. Yes, we took too much time.
And that's all the time we have, thank you. But it's
Sorry
excellent
to
discussion.
Sam.
Let's continue it afterwards over beers. Yeah.
Thank you very much.